we hope to revolve our conversation today around hospitality sector, and we have a veteran from that field joining us today. So let's have a look at the introduction to welcome our guests for tonight.
Rohan Fernandopulle spearheaded the culinary operations at Hilton International for 27 years, prior to assuming duties as the general manager of Water's Edge in 2013. In 2002, he led the culinary team of Hilton to Japan for the Black Box Regional Championship, winning silver whilst whisking away gold and silver medals at the Culinary Olympics. He won the Chef of the Year Presidential Award in Travel and Tourism in 2008 and many medals at the Food and Hotel Asia International culinary competitions in Singapore. Besides being the first Sri Lankan executive chef of Hilton Colombo, Rohan Fernandopulle is also the only Sri Lankan member of the prestigious Le Club des Chefs, where, as a member of this elite group, he had the privilege of visiting the White House in July 2013. He is also a member of the renowned chain des rôtisseurs as Chef Rôtisseur. Presently Rohan, as the General Manager of Water's Edge, is associated as a culinary advisor for much institution including Dilma. He spearheaded the development of Water's Edge Golf Club to a fully fledged culinary hub and events destination that it is today. He was also responsible for the revenue growth of 30% and a profit growth of 40% each year for 3 years under his leadership at Water's Edge.
Yes, and that is Mr. Rohan Fernandopulle, General Manager of Water's Edge, joining us. A very good evening to you.
Very good evening. Thank you.
Okay, so today you are holding the position as General Manager at Water's Edge. But prior to taking these responsibilities, you were a chef and you were the executive chef at Hilton for 15 long years. So how has this journey been, moving from the kitchen to the boardroom?
Let me tell you, that's a bit of a long story.
If you can summarize it.
Summarize it.
Yeah.
As a kid, I love my food. And I used to watch my mother and my grandmother, how they used to cook, and I really enjoyed watching them cooking. When I was a teen, I knew my pol sambal and the dal,
Okay.
right? And at that time, I was able to cook a complete meal to my friends who were coming, for group studies at home when my parents were not there. I used to cook for them, and then they really enjoyed. So after leaving school, I joined HECAB as a laboratory technologist. I did my external degree in chemistry and double maths. Then, I was young. Then I had to take some crazy decisions. Then I joined Confifi Management as a management trainee at Palm Gardens. Then I went to the front office first, then to the kitchen. I wanted to remain in the kitchen because it was a coincidence that I actually took up hoteliering.
Okay.
And I knew there was something interesting in the kitchen. There also I want to do my academics, and I went to the hotel school, graduated myself. Then I actually specialized professional cookery. I got the award being the best student in practical. After 5 years, then I actually joined Hilton. Worked in Europe, Middle East, in Asia, then came back to Sri Lanka, joined the brigade as a sous chef. Then I was promoted as the executive chef. So I don't have to tell you about the story because it was already told.
Yes.
Right? Already told. Led the Hilton culinary team, winning many awards, competitions.
And if you can talk about your current position.
Yes. I just want to come there. Then water sage, they were looking for a person to manage the Chogam retreat. Retreat happened at the water sage, which means the real Chogam meeting happened at the water sage. So they were looking for somebody who had the experience of doing catering, banquets and conference for heads of states, which I already actually did here and overseas as well. Here I am as the general manager of the water sage.
Oh, lovely. And if you look at water sage, it is not situated in the heart of Colombo, and it doesn't have accommodation facility. Yet people keep on coming, tourists keep on coming. What attracts tourists to come to Water's Edge? What are your main attractions?
Let me tell you this way. The showpiece of a hotel is food and beverage. The most happening place in a hotel is food and beverage, and I consider food and beverage is the heart of the hotel's operation. You see, nowadays there are celebrity chefs, sommeliers, right, mixologies. These are personalities in F&B. They are like, you know, the Hollywood stars. They interact with customers, people, and they take them through a total experience. And this is exactly what we strive to excel at Water's Edge. In addition, we have the best location and the surroundings.
Definitely.
And also, we also have our staff who will go beyond and give exceptional service. So that is the secret of Water's Edge.
Right. So you were talking about dining being one of the key attractions at Water's Edge. So can you explain how you expand a customer's experience just beyond a meal?
I like this topic because it is very much closer to my heart. Just food alone is it doesn't work. You have to have the total experience. A classic example I'll tell you is the new tuna paha. Actually, this is one of my initiatives, and first of all, I have to thank our Honorable Minister, Partly Champaka Ranawaka. We come under Minister of Megapolis, who actually gave me the fullest support and endorsed the concept, and also our chairman, Mr. Chamat De Silva, and the board of directors, right, where they actually approved the project and gave the financial assistance. Now, we thought how we can differentiate Tuna Paha restaurant, you know, from all the other Sri Lankan restaurants in the country. So, genuine Sri Lankan food in a contemporary setting to provide a total experience engaging all human senses. This focus on three different topics. First is the name that is traditional but unique to the restaurant. Tuna Paha. What is the meaning? The definition is Tuna Paha is a mix of different spices used in our kitchens. But our interpretation is a little bit different. Tuna means three great personalities at the Tuna Paha kitchen. Three great chefs.
Right.
Blended with three ethnicities.
Right. Okay.
Right. And second is the concept and the sustainability. Concept, most of the Sri Lankan restaurants, they have buffets, but we bring the buffet to your table with a flair.
All right. Okay.
If you remember the good old tradition of, you know, the ambula being brought by the the spouses of the farmers when they are working in the fields on their heads, the same thing that we are practicing there. And also I want to talk about the sustainability. We actually took about 20 underprivileged children from the area, and they put them through a proper training.
As a CSR activity as well.
Definitely, right? Training, and they are the ones who are working there. And the street vendors, they are from the neighborhood. The ammes who make the Sri Lankan sweetmeats, kaung cookies, pittu, indiapa and all. So we have actually improved the livelihood of these people, right, from the neighborhood. And also the third one is the marketplace. Whatever we serve in this restaurant, from the food to chinaware, cutlery, even the uniforms are merchandised at a marketplace where the customer can buy. So this is actually going beyond what you said, not only the food, the total
customer experience, right? So also Waters had started its operations only 14 years ago. It is quite a late entrant to the market. By that time all the hotels, star class hotels, were well established. Still, when you think of banquet facilities, Waters Edge is among the top favorites. So how did you position yourself so well in the market being a late entrant?
As you said, initially Waters Edge was a golf club. Then they added the banquet facilities in. Since I took over, we added a lot of food and beverage outlets, the restaurants, and also we increased some of the best banquet venues. And today Waters Edge is one of the best F&B operations in Sri Lanka.
Right, so you do not have accommodation facility. Still, that is one of the main stream of revenue actually. So without this stream coming into your organization, how do you manage profitability?
That's a good question. See, in a normal hotel, you generate more revenue and profits through rooms. But where the Waters Edge is concerned, we don't have rooms. We have the F&B operations. That's our core business. So rooms, talking about you asked me about the profitability. Rooms, the conversion or the profitability is something like 80% or even more. You're lucky. With food and beverage you can do 35% conversion. But you have to, if you want to make more money, then what do? You have to do volumes, right? So that is exactly what we are doing. And year on year, right, for the last 3 years we have increased the revenue by 30%, and not only the revenue but the profitability by 40%. So if you look at the whole industry, the hospitality industry, as a veteran, what are the challenges and the threats you see in the traditional hospitality sector? What I can foresee as the biggest threat or the challenge is the vacuum of the skilled or the trained staff. If you take the tourist arrivals, forecasted tourist arrivals, and the number of hotels and restaurants which are coming up in the future, actually it's scary. Right? If you want to give me, I'll give you some figures. Now 2016 we ended up with 2.2 million of tourist arrivals, and the forecast for 2020 is 4 million. And 2016, the direct employment, I'm talking about the hotels and the restaurants, it's about 162,000. And 2020 we need about 242,000. So where are we going to find these people, right? So I know the government, they are setting up different hotel schools and training centers all over the island. But as a industry professional, my thinking is we also can do our own training in our own hotels, right? See, each hotel, depending on how big the hotel is, you can do, and depending on the how big the hotel, your facilities, right, your strengths, you can do different training programs, right? Say, now we started a training program with kitchen apprentices and food and beverage restaurants, right? We took about 30 people, right? Now, and what we do, we put them through a training, practical and theory. Then after 6 months, we will actually give them a certificate, right? Now, what do we do? If we don't have vacancies, what do we do? So we absorb, if there are vacancies, we absorb, and the rest we will release to the industry, right? So that is what I am actually saying. If all the hotels get together and if we have our own training programs, right, you can actually contribute to this. Actually, it's a solution for the problem. But only thing, you have to have a proper guidance or a proper syllabus.
So you were talking about training, and if you look at the industry, what is the industry doing to promote local talent into the international market, to take them onto the international platform, basically?
That's a good question. Actually, it's I will tell you, I'll give you an example of an up and coming event. You see, if you are a hotelier, you have to have international exposure, right, and experience.
Definitely.
Right. Now, if you can't go overseas, if you can't go abroad and work in a hotel overseas, what will happen, right? Now, this is where we have competitions, right, especially international competitions. And I'm telling you, through these competitions, right, when you take part in a competition, it's not only to win the competition. You learn a lot.
It is exposure.
Exposure. You will see the quality and the standards. You will see the benchmark, right, and you will adjust yourself, right? And we are also, apart from my job, I'm also the president of the Bocuse d'Or in Sri Lanka. So, international.
So are there any upcoming events?
Yes, I'll come into that. 2012, Bocuse d'Or International, the head office in France, they actually invited Sri Lanka to take part in this Bocuse d'Or competition, right? Talking about the competition, Bocuse d'Or is considered to be the biggest and the most reputed live cooking competition in the world, right? A solid 5.5 hours from the scratch. You have to produce, 2 types, a meat and a fish, for 14 people. Now we have, this is the 4th time that Sri Lanka is taking part, and we are lucky that one Sri Lankan has gone into the world finals. So 30th of June, we are selecting the competition, local selection, where we select the best chef and the apprentice. It's a team, right? So you have to be the best of the best to go to the next level. Then we go to the Asian region, where 15 countries will take part. They are big boys, where the F&B is concerned, like the Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, all that. But we were lucky. Once we went, right, we got selected.
It's quite an achievement.
Yes. Then you go to Lyon. That's the world competition. it's a dream of any chef, like, to go to Lyon. Now what will happen? See, when this guy went to Lyon for the finals, right, we have put Sri Lanka in the culinary map. That's the answer for your question.
Right. So we got to say goodbye as we have a time restriction. So thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. Rohan Fernandopulle. It was lovely having you with us.
Thank you, Ms. Anga.
Right. With that, we are ready to move on to a short commercial break. We'll be back with you soon. Stay tuned.